Okay, this is the next exercise, you guys. It's been assigned for a couple of days. Some of you guys may have tried it, but in case some of you are having trouble, I want to show it here on video. So I've opened up Onshape. I'm going to go right here to the Learning Center. Once that comes up here momentarily, I will, there we go. I'll go to Self-Paced Courses as usual. I'll go to Learning Pathways, CAD Basics, Introduction to CAD. And so the one we're working on is Introduction to Assembly Design. So I'll click Continue here. And of course, this one right here is one we did last week. This one is this week. You should, of course, watch the videos because it shows you. I will tell you that since it's been a week since I did this one, I had to go back and review positioning parts. And so that's okay. If you get stuck, go back and review the previous videos. That'll help you to know how to do some things they tell you to do on this one, mating of parts. And so I'm going to go right here to, I've already watched the videos, of course. I'm going to go right here to exercise mating parts, and we're just going to start following the instructions. And so it says, create an assembly with parts from different part studios, make parts together with different mate types, and add limits. So we're going to go to the next page. So we're going to open public document exercise clamp. So I'm going to go right here, make sure I'm clicking on my public documents. Up here I'm going to type in exercise, EXERCISE colon space CLAMP. This is where you need to make sure that you're doing this right. You'll see that there's a lot of people, once these come up, that have done this, and they just say exercise clamp, but you can see there's none or very few copies. The one that you want is the one that is down here, and let's find it. Okay, where are you? There we go. You have to wait till it downloads, but right here, this one right here that has 2,100 copies. That's the one you want, because these are exercises that other people have done or worked on. That's not what you want. You want to do the actual exercise. So we're going to click on that and open it. And this is what we're going to get. So let's go to the next step. And we're going to go to the next slide, and it's going to say navigate to the assembly. Oh, wait a second. I did not select to make a copy. So let's go back and select to make a copy. So exercise clamp copy. I'll call this copy 2 since I've already done it. You guys can just leave it at copy. And now we are working on a version that we can actually edit. So I've made a copy of this. Now I'll go to the next step. And it says navigate to the assembly tab. Right click on the tab and select rename, and rename the assembly clamp assembly, and press enter. So I'm going to go back here. The assembly tab it's talking about is the one right here. It says assembly. So this tab down here, I'm going to right click, and I'm supposed to name it again clamp assembly. So I'm going to right click, go right here to where it says rename, and rename it clamp assembly. So we've got that done. We'll go to the next slide. Number 3 is to insert parts from the clamp parts part studio. Select insert. Be sure the options are set to current document in part studios and only the part filter is toggled on. Click the clamp parts part studio to insert all 3 parts at once. Click the parts into the graphics area and accept. So we're going to go back here, and we're going to start by clicking on, first off, we're going to go back here to our clamp assembly. It has to be on this tab. It has to be active. And we're going to select insert. And you'll see we have part studios is selected, current document is selected, just like it's supposed to be. And then we can click on clamp parts. I could expand this, and you can see the individual parts. And we could insert these individually by just clicking on them. But if I click on here at the top and click enter, or just click on it, it will insert all 3 parts at the same time. So we have this, but you will notice that although 3 parts are here, they are not actually attached. They are just 3 parts that can be moved around in any place. So let's go to the next step and see what it wants us to do with these 3 parts. We have already accepted it, so we'll go to step 4. It says, use the triad manipulator to move the rods so that the center of the front face aligns to the assembly origin, and then fix the part once positioned. So we're going to go to this. If you remember, if we click on this, we get that triad, but the triad, we can drag it and see now we've got it right there on the middle. And once we got it right there on the middle, we can right click and go to move to origin. And now it is dead center, moved to the origin. That's where we want it. If you don't do this, guys, you will get the wrong answer at the end. So if you need for me to, I'm going to show you that again. Let me just move this, escape here. Okay, so it's moved. So I'm clicking on this. And the first thing I do is I drag this until it locks onto the center. Then I can release it by taking my left finger off the mouse button, right click, move to origin. And once that's done, this is the rod. I can just right click on this and go to fix. There's another way to do it, but just right clicking where it says rod and go to fix. Now you can see that now it's showing that it's fixed, part is fixed, and now this part can no longer be moved. If I try to move it, it won't let me. See, it gives me the little symbol saying I can't move it. And whenever you're doing an assembly that's going to be moving, you have to have one fixed part. And it has to be fixed exactly where it tells you to fix it, or you'll get the wrong properties. So we've got that done. Let's go to the next step. All right, now it says the fixed clamp is fastened to the left end of the rod. Create a fastened mate between the mate connectors located at the center of the end face of the rod and the center of the cut in the fixed clamp as shown. And so you can see here where it says as shown, we are going to use a fixed, a fastened mate rather, and we're going to choose the very center of the pocket here and the very center of the end here. So let's go back and do that. First thing we have to select is the proper kind of mate, and there is the fastened mate. So we will select that first, and then we're going to go and rotate this around so we can see it. I'm going to go inside this pocket, and see now I'm on the very center of the back. I want to make sure I'm on the center of the back there. Not the center of the front, the center of the back. And once I get to the center of the back, I click it. And then I have to go over here and rotate around again. And now I want to do the center of this. There it is. I noticed I had to move it back and forth a couple times to get that to pop up correct. When I click that, it does it. I click this OK, and then it's going to tell us, let's go ahead and read the rest of it here. Hint, be sure the rod is inside the cut of the fixed clamp. The reason it does that is because if I had accidentally clicked the front center instead of the rear center, it would have gone even with the face. And when I click on this, you can see that this is actually embedded into that pocket like it's supposed to be. And that's what we're checking. So we're good to go right now. So we'll go to the next step. Step 6. To allow the sliding clamp to slide along the rod, create a slider mate between the end of the cut in the sliding clamp and the free end of the rod. Male connectors should be centered in the cut of the sliding clamp and centered in the rod end face. If needed, hold the shift key to lock the display of the mate connectors of the needed face when making the selection. Apply a limit allowing the sliding clamp to move 7.5 inches to the left of the rod. and then accept the mate. Now this one, it does make a difference. We may have to do this twice because I found out when I did this that if I do the wrong one first, that it will actually go the wrong way. So let's go ahead and do this. First off, the mate that we have to select is a slider mate. So I'm going to go right here and look at there, slider mate. So I'm going to select that. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the end of this, just right there. And then what it's talking about is I need to get the front of this face. And if I hold the shift key, it'll lock that in place where I can click that. And so we've got that slider mate now in place. And then we have to set some limits. And so we have to click the limits here. And if we look here, it says that our limits are going to be 0 and 7.5. So I'm going to put in here my minimum of 0, my maximum of 7.5. I can solve that, and then I can play it. And look at there. It's automatically doing exactly what it's supposed to do. And if you guys do this and it doesn't work, it could be because you selected this first and not the rod. Make sure you select the rod first, then this, put it in just like this, and it will work for you. After you're happy with it, we'll click the check. And you can see now that if I go up here to ISO, so it comes right to the middle of my screen, and I push that, I can actually push it in, and I can drag it, but it stops right there. I cannot drag it off the end, and it also stops right there. So that's what we want. So we got that part done. We're going to go to the next step, which is step 7. And it says, insert the 3 parts from the Handle Part Studio. Click the parts into the graphics area and accept the dialog. Clicking on the Part Studio in the Insert dialog inserts all parts from that studio at once. And so again, we'll go over here, and we're going to go and click on Insert, and there's our Part Studio. And again, I could select the individual parts, but if I just click up here, it will select all 3 parts at the same time, and I'll click check. So these parts kind of jumped in on top of our thing, but I can just drag these out of the way. Computer's a little bit laggy, but there I go. I got them dragged out of the way. So there's my 3 parts I just inserted. So let's see what we need to do now. Create a fasten mate between the handle and the threaded shaft using the mate connectors as shown. So basically we want one right there and one right there, and it's going to be a fasten mate. It says, hint, if the set hole is not oriented towards the front of this, simply select the reorient secondary axis icon. So we'll keep that in the back of our mind. So I'm going to select, first I'm going to select the fasten mate. So there is the fasten mate. So I select that. And I'm going to select the center of that one. And then I'm going to come around here and rotate it around, kind of zoom in and select. Now again, I want to make sure I'm selecting there at the back. And so there it is. And we've got that done. And again, we can see that this is actually inserted into the handle like it's supposed to be. All right, so let's go to the next one. Now it says, to allow the stopper to pivot around the threaded shaft, create a ball mate between the end of the threaded shaft and the stopper. Select the mate connector of the spherical face of the stopper and the end of the threaded shaft and accept the mate. So we're going to go and select a ball mate. There it is. And when you're doing this, guys, make sure it's going to let you select that. This is the surface going right here. We don't want that. We want to select this ball. Now you can see now just the ball is highlighted. So I'll select that ball there. And then I'm going to come across here and I want to select this ball here. And we do that, and we'll click check, and we now have a ball mate. And after, right now, I can't do anything because this whole thing will move. But after I get this fixed, I'll show you what that ball mate does. So we're going to go to the next step. And the next step is we want to mate the threaded shaft to the sliding clamp so it can slide and rotate with a cylindrical mate with the mate connectors as shown. And so let's do that. So let's go back and we're going to choose a cylindrical mate. It's a pin slot mate. There's a cylindrical mate right there. So I'm going to click that, and I'm supposed to select this face right here. Let's go ahead and rotate that around a little bit. So I select that face right there. And when you do this one, guys, I found out from experience, you can see how you can select the inside there or the outside. Make sure you select the outside one or you'll get the wrong mass properties. I know because I did it. So we'll click that. And it's kind of weird. Notice that it just moved that part, didn't move those. But when I click OK, those other ones moved to where they're supposed to be. And now that this is fixed inside there, you see that I can slide this, but I can slide it. Ooh, I didn't read the whole thing, did I? So let's go back and let's see what I did wrong. I have to set a limit, and the limit is -3 and 0. So that's okay. I can just go back here, and I can go to this cylindrical mate, and I can right-click on it and go to Edit. And then I'm going to click on my limits here, and so let's put in -3 and 0. And I can go ahead and solve that. And okay, that is working. But you know what? I have a problem with one of my mates. So let's go to edit this mate. I'm just trying to see which mate is which. Let me close this for now. Okay, there is my slider mate. And after I did that, I did a fastened mate between that and that. So I'm going to just delete this fastened mate. I'm just going to delete it. And then that will make it so that that comes off. I obviously did something wrong on that, so I'm going to go back to another fastened mate. And I'm going to select the end there. And then I'm going to select the end here. Now I've got two. Huh. I have no idea what I've done here. I'm deleting that mate again. I'm going to try it one more time. Okay, that is okay. So I've got a fastened mate there. got a slider mate and a ball mate. And there's my ball mate. And I've got a cylindrical mate right there. And then I've got fastened two. Okay, for some reason I must have done an extra one. So we're good. Life is good. So we are now in good shape. So let's see what our next step is. Y'all, I apologize, but you know what? Sometimes we have to troubleshoot. So everything is working good. We're going to go to the next step. And it says drag the instances to see how they move. And we've already done that. We've moved them back and forth. So it says to check your answer, reset the slider ball and slider ball and cylindrical mates. Right-click each mate and select reset. So we can go back here to each mate, and we've kind of moved stuff. So every single mate here, we're going to right-click, and we're going to click on reset. And then we'll go to this one, and we'll go to reset, and go to this one, and go to reset, and this one, and that one. Of course, the fastener ones don't need to be reset. So we got this thing totally reset now. So we're going to go to the next step. And the next step is, it shows us what we're going to have. We want to see our mass property. So we want to click on all these over here, every single part, and then click on our mass property. So let's do that. So we'll click this part, this part, this part, this part, this. I clicked on that. That's the whole assembly. I need to click on each part. I've got each part selected. I was wrong. All these are now selected. You can see they're all highlighted. I get my scales, and I go to my mass properties, and you can see that I have center of mass values here, 0.705, 0.188, and 1.721. So we're going to go to right here. We're going to go to the next page, begin self-check, and we want to see which answer it is. Well, let's look at it again. 0.705, 0.188, and 1.721. 0.705, 188. There it is. It's A, verse 1. I clicked right there, see results, and I got it right. So there you go. If you have any problems, just contact me on this one. I'll be glad to walk you through it. Again, this one was a little bit harder for me because this is a little bit different from SolidWorks, but if you just pay attention and take it step by step, you'll get it done. The main thing is getting this thing here fixed at the very beginning in the right place. If that's not done right, these will always be wrong. You, of course, are going to screenshot it and send it to me to turn it in. You guys take care. I'm going to upload this right now.